call this meeting to order. The Pittsburg City Commission, would you all please rise and join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We're going to start this evening with a proclamation. I'd like to ask Debbie Beechner to join me up front, please. Hi. Are you from another lifetime? Congratulations. Thank you. Face that way. That way the We're here this evening to have a proclamation on behalf of RFB Construction. I'd like to read that for everyone. Whereas RFB Construction was recently recognized by the Kansas Department of Commerce as one of the state's top women-owned businesses. And whereas founded in 1989 in Pittsburgh, RFB Construction now features a workforce of 30 employees. And whereas RFB Construction is a leader in highway construction, seeding, and erosion control, along with other services. And whereas RFB Construction and its owner, Debbie Beechner, should serve as examples to young women everywhere that no business or business field is out of reach. Now therefore I, Monica Mernan, Mayor of the City of Pittsburgh, Kansas, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, January 13th, 2015, as RFB Construction Day in Pittsburgh, and encourage all citizens to join with me in recognizing the impact this great company has on the City of Pittsburgh. Congratulations and thank you very much. Go Red Devils. That's all I have to say from Erie High School, right? There we go. We will move on to public input. Is anybody here this evening here for the purpose of providing input on any topic? If so, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close public input and move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed?
Item H.
I'm sorry?
H.
H?
Item G.
H, G, any others? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with items G and H removed?
So
Thank you. We have a second there. Roll call vote?
Gray,
Aye.
Ketterman,
Aye.
Munson,
Aye.
Mernan,
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Item G, approval of agreement with several numbers between the South Kansas and Oklahoma Railroad Company and the City of Pittsburgh, and the Secretary of Transportation, State of Kansas, to provide to the installation of railway highway crossing signals. Michael, was that you?
Yes. No questions, comments. Just want to abstain because of my employment relationship with
Great.
SKO.
Any questions regarding that for Bill? Is there a motion to approve with the
So
abstention of?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No, one abstention. That was G. H. Approval of an agreement between City of Pittsburgh and the Secretary of Transportation, Kansas Department of Transportation, to participate in funding for the construction of a 10-foot wide pedestrian bicycle trail beginning at the intersection of South Rouse Avenue and Centennial Drive south for approximately 1 mile along the west side of South Rouse Avenue, and the adoption of the resolution. Bill, Chuck, did you have questions?
I don't have any questions, Bill. I just want to make a comment that I'm not against trails. I'm just against the location of this trail as I was when we first applied for the grant. I think it would be better suit all citizens if it was in a different area.
Any other questions or comments regarding that item H? If there are no more questions or comments, is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the public hearing portion of our evening. Request to vacate. The City of Pittsburgh advertised for public hearing on Tuesday, January 13th, 2015, the City Commission meeting room commencing at 5:30 for the purpose of vacating the alley located in the 200 block of South Olive, described as the west 15 feet of Lot 51, which is reserved for an alley, all in the Platter's first addition to the city of Pittsburgh. Hi, Troy.
Hey, Mayor and Commissioners, this was a request put in by Ms. Sarah Watts, who lives just west or east of that property or the alley. They're wishing to redo a garage that's in that area. The way it was built way back when, it kind of encroaches onto the alley, so by vacating the alley, it allowed them to basically redo what they're wanting to on their garage there. This was held at the most recent planning and zoning hearing in December. There was no one there to speak in opposition, and the members of the planning and zoning commission approved to bring it to the city commission for approval. So,
Are there any questions for Troy?
Yeah, there's some other properties that adjoin that. Does anybody have any problems with
No,
that, or
no.
not at all? No trash trucks use that alley or
now
anything?
there was there's the way it's kind of there's an alley. It's kind of a little half block alley that's just west of their property, and then there's a normal paved alley that runs just north of it, and that's where all the utilities and all the trash service goes through. So it's one that's basically just grass and trees. It's never been utilized. So.
Any more questions for Troy? Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thanks, Troy. Request item B, a request to vacate. The City of Pittsburgh advertised for a public hearing on Tuesday, January 13th at the City Commission meeting commencing at 5:30 for the purpose of vacating a portion of North Olive Street between 18th and 19th Streets, described as the north right-of-way line of 18th Street to the south right-of-way line of 19th Street, located in the City of Pittsburgh, Crawford County.
At the same meeting in December, this request was brought to me by Bob Kunchek. He owns a property just to the east of this street. Currently, it is not being utilized. Once again, it's trees, grass, that kind of thing. He's wishing to rezone his property in the future, and like I said, just vacating the street because there's nothing. We don't have any plans for it. It would remain a right-of-way for the use of utilities and so forth. So.
I have a question, Troy.
Yeah.
We spoke earlier
Yeah.
on this about that letter to the editor. A possible trail in that location, is that affecting that?
We haven't really looked at it that way, just because of where they talked about putting the trail in. It would run, maybe along the west side of the golf course, and it didn't really make sense to jump over, for a block, and then you have to jump right back over because Olive Street actually does go through between 19th and 20th. So,
Right.
and it was like I said, we can move the trail wherever, but I guess it didn't really make sense to jump it off and then jump it right back on again. If 20th Street or if Olive Street north of 19th was also the same way, then we might look at that because we've got an area there, but now it's utilized, so it wouldn't really make sense. So
Okay. I'm going to double check myself because I did something earlier. I indicated to you, ma'am, did you want to say something earlier during public input, or were you here to say something on this item?
No, I was on the last item.
Okay. All right, I just didn't want to, did you want to say something?
I just was wondering, when you vacate that alley, what becomes of the property then? Does it return back to us? Now, I'm on, that's, that lot 51 is.
yes, it would.
I'm on the north end of it.
Yeah, the way that one was platted originally, most of the time the alleys are platted, if we vacate it, they'll half go to one side, half go to the other. The way that one was platted way back when, as it read on here, it was actually the west 15 foot of lot 51, which includes her property and Mrs. Watt's property. So technically, the whole 15 foot should go to those property owners. So
Then who uses that land? Will it be returned to us
Yes.
on this, and then we can use that
Correct.
15 feet?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, well, that's
And I apologize, earlier, I had in my brain there was a public hearing during this portion, and that's why I said that. I apologize. You should have had the opportunity earlier, and I'm sure Troy would be happy to meet with you if you would like to go and meet in the hall and clarify any questions you
Met
have.
with me earlier on, and she is
Okay.
a wealth of knowledge of Pittsburgh, I'd like to say.
All right, well, thank you, and I apologize for that. I indicated that. Okay, we'll go back to item B. Are there any more questions for Troy regarding item B? Is there a
I move
motion to approve?
I move approval.
I'll second it.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Great, thank you. Thank you, ma'am, for waiting, too. Consider the following: change in amortization schedule, Southeast Kansas Recycling Center. Consider the recommendation of the Economic Development Advisory Committee to allow the Southeast Kansas Recycling Center to, delinquent payments of $3,000 over the remaining 6 years of the loan. Hi, Blake,
Mayor,
thanks.
Commissioners, this is related to a $60,000 loan to the Southeast Kansas Recycling Center from 2009. It was to be repaid over a course of 10 years, $6,000 a year. However, there's a stipulation that allows if the recycling center operates a hazardous household waste operation, that half of each year's loan payment would be forgiven. So the true cost to the recycling center each year, if they operate that, is $3,000. About this time last year, we were notified by the recycling center board that due to low commodity prices, that they would be unable to make last year's payment of $3,000, and they asked to have that payment deferred to this year. This year, same situation, although they are able to make up the missed payment from last year, they're unable to make both payments this year as they had originally hoped to do. So the EDAC considered a couple of possibilities, because obviously the EDAC wants to hold recipients of those loans to what they agreed to, but try to offer some flexibility if at all possible. And the best solution that they came up with, rather than continually deferring that $3,000 payment each year to the end of the loan, was re-amortizing the loan schedule to allow the recycling center to essentially break up that $3,000 over the remaining, I believe, 6 years of the loan. So it would essentially just add $500 to each year's loan payment. But since that materially alters the contract, we wanted to bring it to you for your consideration. And I have a couple of members of the Southeast Kansas Recycling Board of Directors here with us tonight, one of whom being the treasurer, Gene Vogler. They can answer any questions that you may have. Certainly I can answer any questions from the EDAC perspective.
This is acceptable to the board of the recycling center? Okay. Are there any questions for Blake?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thanks to the recycling center and all the volunteers there. Appreciate all the work you do to help us here in the city. Cancellation of agreement, approval of cancellation of agreement between the City of Pittsburgh and Lucidity Incorporated. Hello, Jay.
Mayor and Commissioners. This is essentially an agreement that we came to with the provider for a asset management work order system that we contracted with about a year ago. Over the course of the implementation effort, it became clear to both sides that this wasn't a good fit for us. We came to mutual agreement to cancel the contract for the amount of time and effort that the vendor has put in up to this date. And that's what this is. To answer some potential questions, we are going to revisit the asset management work order system acquisition. And it's a very important part of what we're trying to do in the organization, to start keeping better track of our work orders and our assets and the work against those assets. It's going to be how we're going to be managing our work in the future. This particular vendor was not providing a solution that we could use our organization.
Do we have anything invested in this to date?
No, what you're agreeing to today is the amount of money that we will have invested in this particular endeavor.
And do we have it, are we back at ground zero on a tool?
I wouldn't say ground zero, but we're putting an RFP together that we're probably will be ready for next week, and we're going to reissue it. We're going to put a short time frame on it. The procedure we're going to follow this time is we're going to a national footprint companies. We've identified a set of national footprint larger companies that we feel will be adequate to respond to this RFP, and we're going to go be a little bit more progressive in our approach to acquiring this system this time.
And one of the things you and I talked about too is adding additional details in the RFP to make sure that whoever we choose can really deliver the functionality that we're really needing.
The system itself is relatively functional, relatively broadly functional for what we were looking for. They're also a Kansas company. That was one of the reasons we chose them. What we found were the issue came apparent through the configuration process. So now we'll be looking at how the system is going to be configured and what the procedures that will be followed for the new system that we're looking for. The configuration was the issue, really. The maintenance of the system would require too much time.
Do you have an estimate of what this will cost?
Of what the new system will cost? We had budgeted around $100,000 for the system. Right? Originally, it's what we kind of thought it would take. Right? So.
You'll know more after the RFP process?
Yeah, obviously, you never know exactly until you get your bids back, but that's the estimate.
I don't have any questions about this deal in particular. I just want to make sure that, and I've expressed this to you and to Darren as well, I want to make sure that we don't let the ball drop on this going forward in terms of getting it done. Because I think that everybody agrees that there's some efficiencies and productivity that can be gained by having this kind of system in place. So, I mean, it's unfortunate that we have to step back a little bit, but we want it to be the right product. So, just wanted to make sure that was on the record, because I think it's important for us to get done going forward.
It will feature very prominently in our future work management.
We're not going to be able to, it's one thing to have performance measures to tell us, hey, you know, we picked up this many, you know, feet of snow this year and things like that, but to actually take the 350 FTEs we have and determine what they're really doing, you have to have a work order system, and it's critical, and your point's well taken. Since I've been here, you know, it's been clear from the commission that we want to not just know we're doing a good job, we'd like to be able to tell and show people we're doing a good job, and that's why this system's critical, and quite frankly, that's probably why when we got into it, we were like, look, this isn't going to take us where we want to go. So as you know, that's one good thing about having a professional staff is knowing sometimes when to say, you know, we didn't get, this one isn't right, and let's not just tread down the path. So we are backing up, but it's going to be in this year, whether that's why everybody's sitting on the front row over there, because they understand that this is a critical part of all of the departments being able to determine how well they're doing their work. So point well taken, and we will make sure that it happens. And thanks.
I visited with Matt Bacon on this a couple of different times. Very impressive, especially what it replaced. And I think it was Public Works, for some reason, a dry erase board. And if somebody was to stand against that, then a lot of this information was gone. So, yeah.
Want to avoid that.
Right.
And to tell us
The
where
cleaning crew came through. All right, any other questions
Yeah,
for Jay?
just one more comment. It's not necessarily just the people and the productivity from that vantage point, but also the ability to track maintenance on equipment and assets and usage of assets, I think will help us when we put our plans together, our forecasts together on what we're going to replace and when. I think there's a lot of value there. So thank you for all your work. I don't have any other questions. I'll move to approve.
Before we go through, can I have one thing? I just want to echo something that Darren started to say or started on, and that is the fact that I think it's laudable that once we got into this project and saw that it really was not doing what we needed to do, that rather than go forward and bull our way through and wind up with egg on our face, we were smart enough to back away from this item that wasn't going to do our work, and I appreciate that.
Staff put in a great deal of effort to try to make it work. Right.
And I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Jay. Thanks to your staff, too. Non-agenda items, requests. Darren?
No, ma'am.
Any of the commissioners? Seeing none, we'll move into executive session. An executive session is necessary for the discussion regarding the confidential affairs of a business entity. We will need a motion to go into executive session for approximately 30 minutes.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. We are going to executive.